Okay, now we're going to get into modeling with the lathe object. So the lathe object is going to take whatever spline you have, and the splines are up here with the pen tool or any of these tools, and it's going to revolve it around 360 degrees. So what I have in mind here is a table lamp to put on our table or put near our table. So I've set up a file to do this. It's a lot easier to create the splines inside of Illustrator if you're more comfortable with a tool like that than it is to use the pen tool inside of Cinema 4D. So on the base layer I have an image of the lamp that I want, and we're going to have to create the textures and all that stuff, but basically it's the shade and then the lamp base, and then we have the actual switch, which we'll do later. And then I've created the outline, just the right outline of the lamp base itself. It's pretty simple shape to draw with the vector tools inside of Illustrator. And then I've also created just the outline of the lamp shade itself. So this will revolve, and when it does, it will be hollow because I didn't use any lines to connect. And so this should be hollow when we import it into Cinema 4D. So jumping back over into Cinema 4D, if we want to clean things up and we want to just focus on what we're doing, what we can do is we can turn off this model. So over here there's some switches next to the tags. So if I click on this switch and then I click it again, it should turn off the model. It shuts it off altogether. So we can just kind of have a clean slate. And I'm just going to go into the perspective view just to see what I'm doing here. So the first thing is to get the lamp base in. So I'm going to go to the File menu down to Merge Objects. And I'm going to import just the base. And I'm going to click Open on that. And it's going to ask me the scale in centimeters. And I scaled it just to the actual size. So I'm just going to keep it at 1. If I set it to 2, it's going to be 200%. So you can kind of see what's going to happen there. And connect splines. And then group splines is on. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK on this. And that will give me the lamp base. And so this is what the lamp base looks like. And you can see that it comes in as a group, that there's more than one object in it. So if I open this up in the object manager, you can see that there's actually 2 paths here. I'm not exactly sure why. I created it as a single path, but for some reason it's given me 2 paths. And that's okay, we can still work with it. So the lathe object is under here under the Nurbs. So I'm going to select the Nurb selector and I'm going to choose the lathe object. That will create a new lathe object up here. And then in order to revolve these items around 360 degrees, I'm just going to drag them into the lathe. But before I do that, I just want to point out that this position is actually really important. Right now, it's right up against the Y value, although the Y, what I should say, origin. So this is the origin. If I pull this out away from that, it's gonna rotate around that area. And I can show you what that means later. But so what I want to do is I want to take both these paths now, pull them out of the lamp base into the lathe, and you can see what that does. It revolves it around 360 degrees, so we get a nice lamp base here. And this will look better once we apply material to it. So I actually don't need this object anymore. It's an empty object. I'm just going to go delete that, and I'm just going to double click on that and call it lamp base. So that's the first item that we want to include. And then the second item we want to include is the lampshade itself. So the lampshade, I'm going to go get that. So File, Merge Objects. And here's the lampshade. I'm going to pull that in. Again, it asked me for the scale. Just going to go ahead and click OK on that. And it pulls in that. And now what I'm noticing here, okay, so it is the right distance away, but you can see that it's further down. I'll pull it up once we've done it. So process of this is the same. In this case, it's only got 1 spline. So I just need to add the Nurb, the Lathe Nurb, and just pull the lampshade into the Lathe Nurb, and that will sweep it. It's called sweeping, a sweeping Nurb. So it's going to just rotate it all the way around. And I'm just going to call this shade. And now that I have this, I can position that. And I think it was just like right about there. So what I meant by hollow, you can see as I zoom around here and pan around, that because of the way that I drew the object, it's hollow. And that will give us the ability to add a light inside there or do whatever we want in terms of textures and things like that. So the next video, what we do is we'll apply the textures to the lamp, and then we'll add the light, and then we can pull the table back in and see what we get.